everyone says about you. They say that you're a homeschooled jungle freak who's a less hot version of me.
Victor Frankenstein is to his monster as Regina George is to Katie Harrison. Confused? Let me explain. Victor Frankenstein and Regina George are Promethean figures. A Promethean figure is someone with superhuman qualities or gifts, someone who seeks knowledge, craves eternal glory, and suffers greatly. In this video, I will compare how both Victor and Regina use their Promethean traits to achieve temporary power and eventually destroy themselves and those around them. The first Promethean trait is superhuman qualities. Regina is regarded as superhuman by her peers.
Begin to explain Regina George.
Regina George is flawless.
She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
I hear her hair is insured for $10,000.
I hear she does car commercials in Japan.
Her favorite movie is Varsity Blues.
One time she met John Stamos on a plane.
And he told her she was pretty.
One time, she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
Regina is the epitome of a popular high school girl. She's young, rich, attractive, and mean. Having all these qualities is something only a few people are gifted with. This makes her, in a way, superhuman. And by believing she is better than her peers, they begin to believe that too. Regina is extremely smart and she knows exactly how to manipulate people.
Why do you wear your hair like that? Your hair looks so sexy, pushback. Katie, will you please tell him his hair looks sexy, pushback?
She lives in a way that seems unattainable to the average teenager. Some people become more and more obsessed with her flaws, her secrets. Eventually, she has an entire army of people following her, watching her every move, obsessing over every decision she makes. But at what cost? Victor Frankenstein is also superhuman. He's extremely intelligent. His intelligence allows him to raise someone from the dead. At the time Victor was alive, knowledge was truly power. Victor grew up in a cushy life, something few people were familiar with. Many people had to spend a majority of their time working just so they could survive. Victor, on the other hand, had spare time to be raising people from the dead. His ability to pursue knowledge is what allowed him to achieve such terribly fantastic things, aka raising a body from the dead. Having these superhuman qualities puts Regina and Victor above the average person. This allows them to accumulate more and more power and clout rather than their peers who work for everything. Regina and Victor seem to glide through life effortlessly. The second Promethean trait is seeking knowledge. Regina is also intrigued with creating new life, but instead of sewing body parts together, she molds people into her minions. She makes them become her, and she's constantly seeking knowledge by recruiting new members.
Okay, you should just know that we don't do this a lot, so this is like a really huge deal.
We want to invite you to have lunch with us every day for the rest of the week.
By getting new members, Regina is able to have more and more people do her work. She can find out information about others and twist it to her advantage without needing to find it out herself. Regina creates a new Katie. This is her way of guaranteeing dominance over the school, and she is able to make Katie think and act like her to avoid her inevitable overthrow. This is Regina's main source of power, is by dominating others constantly. Victor Frankenstein spends most of his time seeking knowledge. He's extremely intrigued with birth, life, and death. He spends all of his time plotting and planning a new way to create life, a way to create life on his own, which is inherently Promethean. In the myth of Prometheus, it's often told that he tried to create life without the help of God, aka Zeus at the time. Victor attempts to create life on his own as well, without God. Both Regina and Victor attempt to control everything around them. They crave control so much they want to create what they can control. This will guarantee that they stay in power, because whose creation would ever turn against them? The third Promethean trait is glory. Regina has glory in her everyday life, but it's never enough. She's constantly admired by her peers and looked up to. While she did achieve glory in small doses, as in having a boyfriend, friends, and nice clothes, along with numerous admirers, she eventually loses all of these. Katie steals her boyfriend, and her friends leave her.
Fine. You can walk home, bitches.
That's where you're going, fat ass!
Her own body becomes sabotaged by Katie's weight gain bars. She also discovers that her so-called admirers actually hate her, and her ultimate goal for glory is to be crowned at the spring dance, but this is also taken away from her by Katie, and this is her final fall from glory. Victor craves glory and admiration. This is one of his reasons for creating the monster. Victor wants the creature to worship him, the way that one would worship a god. He gets exactly what he asks for, but he's disgusted by the thing that worships him. So rather than lose the glory like Regina he sought after, he gets the glory, but it's not what he wanted at all. He eventually throws a temper tantrum and runs away from his creation. Both Regina and Victor's glory is fleeting. That is because eternal glory is impossible. People graduate high school, monsters become sentient, and the pedestal you were once placed on crumbles. The final Promethean trait is suffering, just as Prometheus did, very, very gravely. Regina is the cause of her suffering. Her carelessness results in the entire school despising her, though Regina finds a way to cause others to suffer with her. By exposing everyone's secrets, she forces the student body to experience her humiliation as well. Though much of her suffering is due to the repercussions of her heartless actions, her greatest suffering is internal. Regina, like all teenagers, is insecure. She takes this hatred out on her body. She strives to do crazy crash diets and has insane insecurities. This suffering is what really destroys her. She loses control of her body. She realizes that she can no longer control others along with herself, and ends up trying to lose her mean girl persona and move on. Victor, on the other hand, never heals from his suffering. He not only created his cause of suffering, the monster, but he created his suffering. Let me explain. Victor created the monster and then immediately regretted it. This resulted in him abandoning the monster and hoping it would go away. On the contrary, the monster instead lived alone, longing for his creator. Because of the abandonment, the monster grew angry and tried to wreak more havoc on Victor's life. Victor never escapes this suffering and spends his whole life trying to escape it and never does. Regina and Victor's pure selfishness results in their suffering. They have no perspective on the consequences for their actions. Their carelessness hurts nothing but themselves. The purpose of this video is to change people's perspective on what it means to be Promethean. Many people, myself included in the beginning, assume that in order to be Promethean, you have to have magical powers or want to destroy the planet, when in reality, being Promethean is wanting to rule their own world. Victor Frankenstein wanted to rule the world of science. He wanted to control life and death, and he did. Regina George, on the other hand, wanted to rule her high school, and while many people do not view the popular girl as Promethean, she really is. Regina was controlling her world. We all live in our own bubbles. The difference is most of us recognize that there is life outside of our bubble. Regina, on the other hand, does not believe that and thinks that everyone else should just conform to whatever she believes. And she will dominate everyone's point of view if that's what it takes. Anyone can be Promethean. Your mom, your teacher, your best friend, even you. Being Promethean is about the unquenchable thirst for power and control. We all have different ideas of what ultimate power is. So I leave you with this question. Are you the Promethean character in your story?
And if any freshmen try to disturb that peace, well, let's just say we knew how to take care of it. Just kidding.